It's the 26th anniversary of Pokemon, and my friend has graciously let me borrow all 9 of his Bear Walker Pokemon Center Eevee skateboards to unbox and show off and go over. So let's get to it. So the first one we're going to unbox is Eevee, because that's where it all starts, right? All right, so when you open the box, the first thing, of course, we get is this nice, smooth styrofoam, and then we have this Bear Walker premium boards to how to assemble, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a diagram on the back to kind of show you how to put it together. Doesn't seem too complicated. And then let's see, we're going to move some of the styrofoam. Oh, and I will say, of course, in every box you get your other additional items to actually, of course, make the skateboard. So you've got the wheels. You got the wheels on there, and they say Bear Walker on them. And then you've also got your authenticity card. Here says this is an authentic Bear Walker Pokemon Center limited edition cruiser. Each one is handcrafted with premium materials and made with care. Yeah, this one's one of 1,500 for the Eevee one, but here's your authenticity card, which is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, these are collector's items in themselves. It's right there. It's pretty cool. Wow, this is this is pretty sweet. It's really light too. I thought it'd be a lot heavier than since it's wood. But yeah. All right. So this is Eevee, you guys. Look at that. Wow. I am impressed. Now, when my friend let me borrow these, we talked about it for a little bit as far as Bear Walker, who he is, what he's all about. He started making custom skateboards just to kind of, for his woodwork as a hobby. And then people asked him to make certain ones because, I mean, look at the designs that you can make and you can actually use them as like real skateboards. I mean, they're made to be used as real skateboards. But, I mean, this is the very first time I've actually got to see. I mean, I've seen other videos of other ones that are not Pokemon related, and then I haven't actually had a chance to hold it in my hand until now, but I am impressed. I am super impressed with this. I mean, the craftsmanship on this is, wow, this is crazy. And I believe on these, they're like, some of these are, only 500 made, some are 1,000 made. So, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to see on this, but, the Pokeball for the Pokemon Center. But, I mean, this is awesome. And this texture is, he kind of talked about how he made this by accident, this texture. And it just kind of stuck and worked out. But, I mean, I feel this on my hand. I'm like, this feels really, really nice in the hand. So, this is Eevee. Starting off. Looking pretty fluffy and fly. So let's move on to the next one. Which one should we do next? I think since I'm an OG, I'm an OG when it comes to Pokemon, so I think we're going to do Eevee and then move on to the 3 basic ones as far as the original evolution. So that'd be Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon. So let's do those next. All right, moving on to the next one, we're going to do Vaporeon. And this is, of course, the water type evolution of Eevee. And I have to say, I mean, Eevee, of course, is brown. That's her, brown and tan. That's kind of her main color. So moving on to this one, it's, of course, going to incorporate some of the blues. Obviously, we got some darker tones, lighter tones. But, I mean, same style as far as the Pokemon itself and the Pokeball for the Pokemon Center. And then kind of looking like some design up there with some spray painted edges. But, I mean, this is crazy. I watched a little clip of Bear Walker and how he kind of had to make some of these skateboards and kind of the time he puts into them. They're all custom handcrafted, and it's just the technique he has into it is just crazy. And I'm impressed. My friend told me that he also makes some for Justice League, I've seen some for the Flash, and if you couldn't tell, Flash, that's my man. So I'm gonna have to probably get me one of these. But this is Vaporeon, and I'm liking what I see. I still can't get over this texture. This texture just feels, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking, like a pumice stone, but that sounds really bad. You compare the skateboard to a pumice stone, but I mean, you put your feet on it. So, but this is Vaporeon, looking aquatically fly. All right, let's move on to the next one, Jolteon. All right, so next up we have Jolteon, and he is the electric evolution of Eevee. And now this one, I have to say, I was a little surprised. After looking at this one, I was expecting it to see more yellows. I mean, he is obviously got some yellow But after looking at this board overall, I mean, there's more orange and red tones in it, which I mean, I kind of get. Like, if you were to see the lightning bolts, maybe it kind of like sparks flame, you know, that kind of guess. But I would expect just more yellows. I mean, you can leave in the comments below what you think about Jolteon as far as if it's too much, and we can see orange, red, and brown tones in there. I mean, he looks good overall, and I like, you know, what I see as far as the bolts coming out of him, of course, love the design. But as far as the color scheme, I think I'd prefer just more yellows. That's just me personally. But I mean, let me know in the comments below what you think about it, if you think maybe it looks okay the way it is. I forgot to show Vaporeon's card in the previous one, but here is Jolteon's authenticity card, and of course this one is 1 of 1,000. So Eevee and Vaporeon are 1 of 1,500, and this is 1 of 1,000. Next up, let's go to Flareon, which is the fire version of Eevee. Alright, so next up we have Flareon, which is the fire evolution of Eevee. And when you look at this board, it makes more sense. When you're looking at the color scheme, this one looks, you know, he's got more orange tone and hue to his skin and appearance. Same thing with the Pokeball, but this one, you can see the flames kind of etched in there. Kind of hard to see, you can probably see better right there. You can see 2 sets of flames, but you have the yellow, the orange, and the more of the brown and the black up front. So you can see from here that that kind of matches more of the color scheme of the true, you know, evolution Pokemon himself, Flareon, more so than Jolteon. So I think with this one, it makes more sense, and I would have preferred, like I said, the Jolteon evolution to have more yellow tones in the skateboard throughout the whole thing, more so than basically this kind of seems like the same board with a different etching, with a different evolution on it. But I like the look of Flareon overall. I think I'm going to rank all of these when I get done unboxing and looking at them, but let me in the comments below what you think about Flareon. You know, one thing I will notice, like, this is obviously, you can tell it's handcrafted from real wood because you can see some of the, you know, natural imperfections in the wood from when it's cut, which is a nice touch so that, you know, it's not, you know, something pressed or imitation. It's real handcrafted wood. And here is Flareon's authenticity card, so you can see that. And this one is 1 of 500, so we're getting lower and lower as far as the amount of skateboards that are made. Like I said in the intro, some are different variations based on the Pokemon. So we start off with 1,500 with Eevee and Vaporeon, 1,000 for Jolteon, and 500 for Flareon. Alright, so next up I'm going to kind of go, like I said, I'm OG Pokemon, so we got the 3 main evolutions that we had in the original Pokemon. Now we're going to go to the next ones, which would be Umbreon and Espeon. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is Umbreon, and he is I believe he's the Psychic, or he's the Dark. Excuse me, he's the Dark evolution of Eevee, and so far this is my favorite. This is my favorite one so far. I love this. I love, you know, it doesn't have to be straight black, but you can tell just from like the black tones and hues that he's Umbreon, especially with his little kind of like gold, which is gold Pokeball down here. But I'm loving, loving, loving. I'm loving the moon. I'm loving the purple and black, and you can kind of see little twilight stars, which are kind of in white, so they kind of twinkle. I love it. I love this look. I love the look of this board. So far this is my favorite. This one so far to me, kind of a further shot back. So far to me, this is the one that if I was going to personally purchase just one board, I mean, I'd love to have all 9. Don't get me wrong. But if I only had to choose one, so far this is my pick. But we haven't got through all the boards yet. We still have quite a few more to go. But so far this is my top pick. This is Umbreon. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Umbreon. And let's look at his authenticity card. So he, surprisingly, he's probably one of the more popular ones. So you can kind of tell they don't have a lot of gold etching. They have the red, but of course the board being just kind of the wood, natural wood color, that's what they get for the gold. But here's his authenticity card, and he is actually he's one of 1,500 boards made. I'm surprised that Umbreon is, I guess, a more popular character, so they, of course, made more of him. But I mean, judging by this board, this one should have been more of an exclusive. I'm going to comment what do you think about Umbreon. Next up is Espeon. Alright, so now we have Espeon, and Espeon, of course, is the Psychic type evolution of Eevee. And I'll be honest, I'm not too crazy about this one. This one, of course, you know, Espeon looks cool. He's got a, you know, a mystic arts. You know, every time I think of a Psychic Pokemon, I think of Alakazam. But you know, he's got a way about himself, the way he looks. I do like how we have like the Psychic Wave energy kind of flowing off the board, you know, going up. So obviously that's a cool way to put it. Goes very nice with his little red dot on his forehead. I'm just not really digging the... I mean, I get he's kind of like a lighter, kind of pinkish purple type. So he's got that tone going for it. I just don't think it really translates too well on the board itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the design, and when you touch the waves, it's of course, you know, etched in. Looking at the board, you would think it was like a spray-on paint job. So I'll say for that looks really cool. But so far, Umbreon is still my favorite. That's kind of see. They didn't do anything really to that. If they did some pink hue, it's really kind of hard to see. But that's Espeon. And then as far as his authenticity card, here's his authenticity card. So you can kind of see it's got more of the pink purplish tone, of course, with the, you know, the blue on the inside there. So they kind of got that right. But I wish they kind of would have added more of the pink hue to the actual, you know, body of Espeon, more like what we usually see. And this one's 1 of 1,000. 1 of 1,000. All right. So next up, we're going to talk about the, like I said, I'm an OG Pokemon guy. So for me, those are the evolutions that I'm more familiar with. So we're going to move up to the newer evolutions. At least that's what I call them. And that's going to be Leafeon, Glaceon, and Sylveon. So let's get to it. All right. So here is Leafeon, and wow. Wow. That is awesome. Look at that. Look at that. I love these kind of razor edge leaves you have right there. You know, something that you know, makes me think of more of Bulbasaur and all that kind of stuff. But look at that. Now that I love this. I love Umbreon, but Leafeon, it's almost taking the top spot. I wish they would have done something more with the Pokemon, maybe give a little bit of the light green hue, but so far I'm loving this. I think this one works. Of course, with this character, he is more of the dark tones, more by his feet, and he has more of like the lighter tan color for the majority of his body. Of course, with a little bit of green kind of chest hair and stuff like that, and his doo-wop hair going on, or her doo-wop hair going on. So I'm loving this. I love the tail, the details of all that. This board does it. This board does it. So that's Leafeon. And as far as the authenticity card for this one, there's that to compare it to, almost an exact. And this one's 1 of 500. So next up, let's move on to Glaceon. Alright, so here we have Glaceon, the ice type evolution of Eevee. And, you know, with this one, I'm sad to say, well, it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. The etching and designs are cool. It just isn't as cool as Umbreon or Leafeon. They're my top 2 so far. I mean, because even the, like, I don't know what kind of designs these are. They're supposed to be ice, but cracks maybe. I mean, honestly, it looks like the bottom of a Nike shoe or something, the bottom of a tennis shoe. It's just what I think about it. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I mean, you can tell it's got the lighter tone blues. Obviously a darker, lighter tone in his body. I mean, he's obviously doesn't have too much going on for him otherwise, but I think they maybe could have had an opportunity to do more with this board as far as maybe changing up the designs a little bit more. I mean, you don't need snowflakes or anything like that, I guess, but I don't know. I just don't, you know, maybe I'm being too harsh on Glaceon, but to me, this is probably behind Jolteon. Those are probably my least favorite boards so far, but let me know in the comments what you think about Glaceon. And as far as his authenticity card, there's his authenticity card right here. So, you know, pretty close to accurate as far as colors. Maybe it's a little bit darker would have been helpful. But this one is 1 of 500. 1 of 500 for Glaceon. All right, next up, and last one, it's going to be Sylveon. All right, so finally we have Sylveon, and this is the fairy type evolution of Eevee. And I have to say, this one's pretty cool too. This one's really cool. This one, of course, he's mostly got white hues to his or her skin, and he or she has more of like the kind of pinkish tones to more on the feet. Same with the ears. Very fairy-like looking, and I love, speaking of the board, love the hearts that we have going on here to kind of show more of the accents. So you can kind of see all through the board, all the way down the bottom. Again, I still think it's a missed opportunity. We didn't get seen as far as pink on the actual Pokeball or Pokemon Center logo. but I think this is, you know, again, probably my top 3 are going to be, I would say, well, we'll get to the ranking here in a little bit. I'm having to think about it a little bit more, but I think Sylveon is obviously kind of in my top pick. And you know, what's interesting about this one is I would think, you know, in all of the etchings, you have, you know, a good amount of detail. And I wonder how that would hold up over time if, you know, the more and more you step on certain parts of the board, obviously if that stuff will wear down or if it's going to stay over time. I would imagine that's, you know, given the way they're etched in and the grips, I think it'll probably last. I can imagine it being worn on that much, but I could see if maybe you're really hard on your board. But this is Sylveon. I'm looking at the authenticity card for this one, which again, I'm kind of shocked. There's an authenticity card for that one, and this one is 1 of 1,000. 1 of 1,000. Which, it's interesting that, you know, some of the boards I wasn't too happy with are actually they're fewer to find versus some of these. So interesting with that. All right, next up, let's get to the rankings of my least favorite, the ones I would recommend most buying, and kind of wrapping it up from there. So I've unboxed all 9 of the Bear Walker Pokemon Center Eevee Evolution boards, skateboards, and as far as my rankings go, I would say that my #1 board is going to be Leafeon. I never would have guessed a Leafeon would have been my #1 board because I'm more partial to the, like I said, I'm an OG Pokemon fan, so I'm more partial to the OG evolutions that I grew up with. These newer evolutions I'm a little less familiar with. I know of them, not so much, you know, about them and what they do. Obviously I know what they do because they're of the types, but haven't had a chance to actually play them or have cards of them. But I think overall, as far as board designs go, I think Leafeon is probably the one that I think the Bear was able to capture the essence of the Pokemon itself, and probably the most distinctive one, I would say, as far as look, feel, type, ability. You know, that's what this board makes me think of. As far as the next one down from here, I'd probably pick Umbreon, and then I would go with Sylveon, then I'd go with Flareon, then Eevee. I know Eevee's pretty plain, but I'm going to put Eevee on there. And then I would go with Vaporeon, and then I'd go with Espeon, and then I'd go with Glaceon, and then that should be it. So those are my rankings as far as the skateboards go. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all the skateboards. Which one would you pick? I believe the majority of these go for over $200, $250 each. So they can add up pretty quick, but if you're going to do a collection, you of course have to have all 9, not just one. So I will include the link down in the description below so where you can go and get all the boards you want. If you do end up purchasing one, let me know in the comments which one you get and what do you think about my review and which ones do you think are the best and which one do you think are the worst. And that's it for this video, guys. Enjoy the like button. For more of this one, subscribe to the channel. I'll be covering more Pokemon stuff over the 26th anniversary weekend. And make sure you subscribe to more videos for Mortal Kombat. We're covering Mortal Kombat 12, Mortal Kombat the movie 2. I also cover tech, gaming, movies, and TV. So there's lots of content for you to enjoy. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.